Morning. As promised, I am back. If you guys saw the heading, I actually decided little bit of background on this series. I have been There's been a desire in my heart for years to share my story, and even though I've shared like my story in bits and pieces over the years, and I've been pretty transparent, I've never really like gone into complete depth of the foundations of how I became addicted, or even what it looked like for me. Because for most people, like, to say that I was addicted to Adderall and I'm coming out of that, there was a lot of stuff that led up to that. And so one of the things that I decided to do, and I sought the Lord on, because it is completely exposing and being very vulnerable, is that I am going to do these videos in a series. And the series will be called My Exodus from Addiction. Part one was uploaded to YouTube yesterday, to the Messy Bun Moments. I also shared it on my page. It is part one. It doesn't happen overnight, just kind of laying out the foundations of where it started. And we are picking up today where I left off, which was I became pregnant with Brayson after having a tummy tuck. There was a lot of seeking things. I became very vain, very confident, which was something that I struggled with my whole life. And now all of a sudden I had everything that I wanted in regards to my physical appearance. And I was wishing that I had a picture of of myself. And I might try to find it here in a minute and show you guys. But it was a picture of me right before I got pregnant with Brayson and found out. I'm gonna try to find it. But anyway, it shouldn't be difficult because it's in my profile pictures. But anyway, it was just a lot of searching for myself and thinking that all the things that I wanted were going to be found in being skinny or having this or having that. And it was just a little bit over the years of Satan just kind of priming me. Like I told you, generational curses, are a real thing. And I'm going to read that to you guys in just a minute, out of Exodus. And that's why this is called My Exodus from Addiction. I relate so much to the children of Israel. So I'm trying to see if you guys can see this. All right. This is me. This is me. This was me at my skinniest. This was me before I found out I was pregnant. I was going to be a personal trainer. It's easy to see. And what you can't see in that picture is I got a six pack going on because I had the tummy tuck and doing my online schooling for being a personal trainer. And now I'm pregnant. Corey slips up. And I got to tell you guys, I was thinking about it last night. Like, I was bitter for a really, really long time with Corey. I was very angry because I felt like something had been taken from me. I told you guys, as I sat in that truck after those two pink lines showed up and I found that I was pregnant with Brayson, a part of me died. A part of my hopes and my dreams and everything that I thought that I wanted to be and needed to be happy had died with those two pink lines. And what I didn't know at the time was that the Lord was preserving me. He was keeping me because he knew that I was about to self-destruct through my vanity, through my searching. And so I want to read you guys a little bit. Jesus came in the New Testament and he said that he did not come to abolish the law. He came to fulfill the law. And what that fulfillment was is he was going to show that everything in the 10 Commandments could be laid out in two simple things: to love God with all of your heart, and then to love people as yourself. Ooh, love people, like, okay, we'll love people, but you really can't truly love people until you love God. And through loving God, you have to learn to love yourself. And I'm talking about all of your flaws, all of your insecurities. He wants it all. He wants it all. But if you don't surrender everything to him, if you don't let him be Lord of everything, then essentially we're breaking the first commandment. The second commandment. This is what I did This is what I was doing. So I have to read this guy. This actually, I read this again this morning, and the Holy Spirit opened it up to me like never before. Moses goes up to the mountain. He gets the commandments, and this is what he said. For those who didn't jump on first sermon, you're going to get one for just a minute. The first commandment says that you shall have no other gods before me. He ain't playing. He ain't playing. He don't want the gym. He don't want Adderall. He doesn't want your medication. He doesn't want your relationships. He doesn't want anything before him. He wants to be God of all because he wants to protect you. He wants to take care of you. He wants to do good things for you. So he sets boundaries like good parents do. You don't do this. You don't touch this. You don't, because good parents set boundaries. Boundaries they know will keep you safe and keep you fulfilled. Second, thou shalt make no graven images or likeness of anything that is in heaven or above or on earth. You ain't going to have nothing else. Don't create anything. Don't make anything else to worship. I'm going to be your God. And this is what it says. You shall not bow yourself down before them and serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. Catch this. Visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generations of those who hate me. If you don't love God, you hate God. And you can't love God, say you love God and not obey God. I couldn't keep 1 foot in the world and 1 foot into my addiction at that time, which was my physical appearance, the gym, everything that I was doing to try to keep control of myself, right? This is addiction unraveling. It doesn't start with the obvious. It didn't start with pills, the obvious, which was going to be, it was a generational curse that was set up. My dad, who is a wonderful, loving, kind man, has fought addiction. It's a generational thing. And so iniquity is rooted deep in generations. Iniquity is a generational thing. We are born into iniquity. So some of us don't want to be addicts, but it's rooted, the iniquity is rooted in generations. And God says there, if you hate me, if you don't keep my commandments, if you disobey, that is rooted deep in generations. It's rooting in iniquity. So when somebody in your family disobeys the Lord and does something outside of his commandments, outside of his ways, his boundaries, when you decide that you know better than God, when you're struggling with addiction, if you do not take that head on and give everything over to God and make God your God, the God of everything, it's rooting and you're passing it to your children and they're passing it to their children. And so essentially what was happening was a generational curse rearing its ugly head. I'm pregnant with Brayson. I'm bitter with my husband over this. Now all of a sudden my plans and my dreams and my hopes were shattered. And I became angry with God. And it took me a while to even be happy with being pregnant. It took me a while. But oh my gosh, guys, if you could just hang with me through these series. Brayson's birth ends up saving the life of one of my other children. I don't have on waterproof mascara and I don't want to cry, but I'm telling you guys, it's good stuff. Because he is faithful. And when God does something, he's doing it for a reason. I relate to the Israelites so much in the story of Exodus, which is why I titled this My Exodus from Addiction. The Exodus was they were leaving Egypt. They were leaving slavery. But throughout that wandering in the desert, because God brings them to a place called the wilderness, which is a place of preservation. The wilderness sucks. Okay, it sucks to be in the wilderness. It sucks to be wandering around. But a lot of their wandering was because of their disobedience and their complaining and they're not wanting to listen and them thinking they knew better than God when God was seeing things they couldn't see. You see, when God put Brayson inside of me, I mean, Corey put Brayson inside of me, but when God put Brayson inside of me, God said, I can see what you can't see. I can see in 2013 when Brayson ends up saving Emmy. I can see that you about to self-destruct because you might end up doing something that you don't want to do because you feeling really cute about yourself and guys are giving you lots of attention and all of a sudden you're really full of yourself, and I can see what you can't see because God has a military overview. When the Israelites were delivered from Egypt and they were exiling, they were exiting the Egypt, quote unquote, slavery that they had been bonded to for 400 years. 400 years of slavery in Egypt. It was all that the Israelites knew was slavery. That's all they knew for 400 years. Their children and their children's children and generations only knew slavery. Now they're delivered. And they get backed up into the Red Sea and they start freaking out. Okay, God, you know what? You said you were going to preserve me and you said you were going to deliver me. And it's great that you're delivering me from myself. But unfortunately, my deliverance didn't look anything like I thought it was going to look. When the Israelites were given a promise of promised land flowing with milk and honey and blah, 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 blah. And now they're in the freaking desert. They're like, yeah, this is, this ain't what we signed up for. See, when God does something, he's doing it because he's God. And we think we know so much. We think we know everything. We think we know what we want for our lives. The Israelites were stuck between slavery and a promise. They were stuck between Egypt and a promise. See, God's promise is fullness of joy. God's promise is that I have a plan for you, to prosper you, to be good to you. But all in that moment of being pregnant, after that tummy tuck, and after I had worked so hard to get that weight off, that wasn't a really good thing. Like, this doesn't feel good, God. This is stupid and you suck. I said that yesterday. I hate to keep saying that, but that's where I was. Corey, you suck for getting me pregnant. God, you suck for letting this happen. And you know what? I'm not okay with this. You see, the Israelites were complaining because they weren't okay with the wilderness. They didn't like it. This isn't milk and honey, and this definitely isn't what you promised us. You brought us out of freaking slavery to bring us here. We had it better in Egypt. No, they didn't. I didn't have it better where I was. But one of the things that we do is we forget where we came from. We only remember the things that we want to remember because the enemy's really, really good about, hey, remember when you were in Egypt? At least you had bread. Remember, April, when you were going to the gym and you were really skinny? Yeah, I was really skinny. And I look back at pictures and you look back at pictures and you go, oh my gosh, I wish I could be like that again. But you don't realize the person in those pictures, the person in that white tank top with their abs showing and the cute blue shorts standing in front of the vending machine, she was really miserable internally. Everything looked good from the outside, but I was dying on the inside. Why? Because the breaking of the commandments, the keeping God last instead of first, always leads to death. A lot of times spiritual, sometimes physical. We will tire of doing things ourselves. We'll run to God when he's our last option. So I'm pregnant with Brayson, and start to be okay with it. I didn't really start showing until I was like 7 months because I was at a really tight stomach. That was odd. They had to measure me a couple of times and wondered, is Brayson even going to come out? Is he okay? Because he's not. It was crazy. Pregnancy was fine. I was healthy. Went to the 6-month checkup with my tummy tuck doctor, my plastic surgeon. And I was like, hey, by the way, I'm pregnant. And he was like, didn't we talk about this? Yeah, we talked about this. But you had me looking too good and it got me in trouble. So we have Brayson. And Brayson ends up being one of the most difficult children. From a very, very young age, Brayson was very anxious, had a lot of anxiety, had a lot of separation issues, and he was very difficult to parent, extremely difficult to parent. And I struggled really badly. And I tried the whole working mom thing. And at the having 3 kids, I was spinning my wheels. So in 2011, Brayson was not very old. I quit my job. Felt like I heard the Lord, and I quit my job. And I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, and I was going to try this. Okay, I was going to try this. I had postpartum so bad with Brayson. I was so depressed, so anxious all the time. Then some things started unfolding in my marriage. Some things got a little rocky. Some things got hard. And all of a sudden, I wasn't remembering what God had did for me and saving me from myself back in 2010. All of a sudden, like the Israelites, I had forgot. And slavery all of a sudden looked really good again. So I started searching. And one day, a friend introduced me to Adderal. Boom. All of a sudden, it was everything that I'd been looking for. I could keep up with 3 kids. I had energy. I was hoping I would lose a little weight, but I couldn't take medicine right. So I ended up just binging most of the month. And I just was like, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. When the Israelites go to the desert and they get the 10 commandments, and Moses goes up and then he comes back down with them, and they are like worshiping a golden cow. And I mean, the ink hadn't even really dried on the tablets yet with the 10 commandments. And all of a sudden the Israelites are like worshiping another God. Their real God, their living God just delivered them from Egypt. 10 plagues of Egypt. Pharaoh's firstborn killed, parts the Red Sea. By the way, I forgot to tell you that when they were hemmed up on the Red Sea, started freaking out. God split it open, freaking split the sea open, and they walk through, and they get on the other side, and it swallows up Pharaoh's chariots, and all of a sudden, here we are again. Okay, great. Thank you, Jesus. Holy, holy, holy. I'm delivered again. And all of a sudden, they forget about this, and they set up a golden cow. Moses was like, are you freaking kidding me, man? Are you freaking kidding me? Did you just forget everything we just went through? Did you forget about the plagues? Did you forget about the split of the Red Sea? Are you really worshiping a cow? Why, though? Where did they learn to worship cows? They learned it from Egypt. You see, the Israelites were delivered from slavery, and they had been delivered from Egypt. But Egypt hadn't been delivered from the Israelites. See, sometimes we're delivered from things, or we think that we're through with them, but we keep going back to the only thing that we know. We put God on the shelf, and we say, you know what? I'll get back to you when I need you. And we start taking medication. All of a sudden, that's our go-to. I can't scramble to the medicine cabinet fast enough. I can't open that bottle fast enough. I can't pop that pill fast enough. Wait for it to work and kick in. Bam! I got my energy. I've got this. I've got that. I don't need you right now, God. I'll see you later. And all of a sudden, there's an idol, and there's a graven image. And the Bible says that God is jealous. He spent a lot of time in the Old Testament tearing down idols, spanking the Israelites and telling them, when are you going to learn? I'm your God. Let me be your God. Why? Because I want to give you good things. I want to do good things for you, but you keep messing it up. But God is so gracious, and he keeps saving them over and over and over again. So I'm going to leave this here. I have more to the story, but I wanted to tell you, essentially everything was a putting other things before God continuously, where God says, I am jealous, and I ain't going to be mocked. What in your life today have you put in front of God? What has caused you to put God on the shelf and say, I don't need you right now? God is a jealous God. Your verses for today are Exodus 20, 3 through 4. Talk to you guys tomorrow.